Welcome to another episode of The Lens of the Witch, and of course, it's your favorite girl, the beautiful witch. We are going to talk about a controversial statement made by UNICEF saying only 1 in 4 Nigerian children can actually read and solve simple mathematics by the age of 14. So let's get right into it. Recently, UNICEF stated that only 1 in 4 Nigerian children can read and solve basic mathematics by the age of 14. At first glance, the number sounds shocking, but before we immediately accept or reject this statement, we need to slow down and ask one important question. What exactly does this statistic mean? Because statements like this can easily be misinterpreted and create the impression that 75% of Nigerian children are completely illiterate, and that is not necessarily what UNICEF is trying to say. First off, it is important for you to know that most of these international education reports measure what is called foundational learning or learning poverty. So that means they are testing whether children can read with comprehension, understand simple text, or solve simple and basic age appropriate mathematics questions. So the debate is not simply about whether children can read ABC or write their names. The real issue is educational quality. And this right here is where the conversation gets uncomfortable because many Nigerians already know there is a serious problem in the education system. In many public schools, classrooms are overcrowded, teachers are underpaid, learning materials and syllabuses are outdated, and students often memorize information without deep comprehension. We all know how the concept of cramming to pass for exam works. In some areas in Nigeria, children actually attend schools regularly, but they still struggle with reading fluency and quantitative reasoning appropriate for their age group. Now, that is not entirely a UNICEF problem. This is a Nigerian system problem. This is a very common problem in the rural areas in Nigeria because most of these kids actually attend schools regularly, but teachers speak indigenous languages to them, and this, in a way, is deterrent to how they learn to read or the pace at which they learn to read and write in English, right? Imagine most of the government schools in Lagos, for example, they speak Yoruba to them or they speak indigenous languages. And the same thing for government schools in the east, in the north, instead of these teachers to converse and have conversation with these children in English, they do that in their indigenous languages, making it even harder or slowing the pace of learning to read for the children. So most times they just go to school. You ask them what is a noun, they know what a noun is. You ask them read ABC to Z, they know how to do that. Count 1 to 3 to 100, they know how to do that. But can they actually speak English or can they actually read in English fluently and properly the way they should? There's another side to this conversation that international organizations sometimes fail to explain properly. And that is Nigeria is not one uniform educational environment. There are massive differences between rural and urban schools, private and public schools, northern and southern schools, and wealthy or poor households. For example, a child attending a well funded private school in Lagos or Abuja will definitely, most of the time, perform better at a completely different level from a child in a rural area where they don't have stable electricity or stable teachers, and all they have would sometimes be student teachers and youth corpers who have come to serve and teach for the meantime. You cannot compare a child who attends school in a rural area in the north to a child who goes to a good school, private school here in Lagos, even government schools in Lagos. You cannot compare what we have here to what we have in the north. So when broad national statistics are released, many Nigerians naturally think that the numbers oversimplify the country, and that is an understandable reaction if you ask me. But even if the exact percentage is debated, the larger warning should not be ignored, which points to the fact that Nigeria is actually facing genuine education crisis. Teachers continue leaving the profession, and the economy increasingly rewards digital and technical skills that many young Nigerians are not being properly prepared for. This right here is the deeper issue here. Because the future global economy will not only reward certificates, it will reward actual skills. And whether UNICEF's exact number is perfectly accurate or not, the question remains, is Nigeria truly preparing its children for the future economy? Are these kids being equipped? Are they being properly prepared for what comes in the future? This is the conversation we should be having. Thank you for joining this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Kindly like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can always get notified as soon as I release new videos. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.